Hello everyone, my name is AJ and I wanted to share some of the fascinating points that I've learned about Shackleton's leadership principles during his voyage to the South Pole in 1914. Um, so during the course of his voyage, he got to spend a lot of time with the people that were under him. He was a member of the crew as well, not just their leader, but as a family member. And one of the things that really stood out to me was how he was able to recall many of their stories with great detail. This showed that he really cared about listening to their stories. It showed that he really was interested in their stories. Another thing that he did was also listen to their strengths and weaknesses. This allowed for him to put people in positions, or at least be in charge of like certain areas that really showed their strengths and weaknesses. So, for example, one guy was a hoarder, never shared, and was always concerned with running out of supplies. And he put that person in charge of keeping the supplies going, or keeping the supplies in tight control that allowed for them to keep it for longevity while they were waiting on the ice. Another thing was how flexible he was in his planning. Even with major setbacks or back-to-back setbacks, it never diminished his spirits. He knew that he had one goal at the beginning. It was to cross the Antarctic. Everybody believed in his vision, and he had a really good understanding with the crew that this was their goal until the ice started to crush their ship. He knew that he needed to change his plans, and once he did that, he was able to remain flexible. It allowed for him to keep the crew safe, keep them all together, and keep their minds focused on the main goal now, which was to get them all home alive. Even with all the setbacks, it never tarnished on his spirits. He wanted to get them all home alive. That was his only goal. He would have never been able to live with himself. Yeah, so another thing that it was a big part of his late leadership principles is that he really cared for the man. He really cared for his men. He knew that he needed to desperately keep their hopes up and keep their minds off the current situation that they found themselves in. I know that them seeing that their ship was being crushed and that they probably would have never made it home. He kept their spirits up by playing football, singing and dancing. There was also the 69 dogs that they were trying to take care of as well with that were on the Endurance. He assigned each and every one of them a dog to take care of, and that they found themselves very close, or getting in a very close relationship with the dogs. That also took their minds away from the situation that they found themselves in. I think one of the biggest reasons that his overall experience was a success in getting everybody home was the way he got to pick out the members of his team. In the ad posting, that he stated that return was unlikely. Seeing that in an ad posting could be really rough for somebody. Like, why would anybody want to go ahead and volunteer for a voyage that they know that they might never ever come back? He was very good at selecting the people that he wanted. He wanted people that were the same as him. They wanted to accomplish a mission. He wanted people who had the same drive as him, and they all shared the same goal. So having a clear mission statement was also a very big, or a big key factor in his success at surviving. But Yeah, those were the points that I had, and thank you.
Shackleton was a strong leader, willing to do whatever it takes to protect his crew. He had an unorthodox way of picking crew members, like during the interview, he asked one crew member if they could sing, and he made sure everyone had an equal share of the work, including officers and the crew. If someone complained, as did one crew member when they thought they were running low on food, Shackleton put that person in charge of rationing so they would always know how much food they had on hand. When the crew got stuck in the ice, Shackleton did not give up. He set up jobs for everyone to do so they would not just be sitting around worrying about going home. When they finally had to abandon the ship, he moved the men into tents on the ice floe. He had everyone change tents weekly so they were not staying with the same person indefinitely. It may sound a little bit crazy at first, but if you think it over, it's a clever trick to ensure that the crew members did not get stuck so much to spend so much time together with one person as to become annoyed at something they might say or do, thus reducing the chance for conflict. Shackleton's story hits so hard because everything that you read about in his practices used today in leadership, the choices he made to keep everyone together and the morale high, are the perfect way to run a successful business today. What we learned about the Shackleton leadership story was the strength of one man who's the leader can help the group stay positive and accomplish just about anything they set their minds to do. The leader is the one who sets the example for the others to follow and keeps everyone from killing each other. He sets the stage and provides the guidance the others need to stay the course and accomplish the objectives laid out before them. With a strong leader at the helm and a clear course of action, anything can be accomplished.
Hello everyone. Through the Shackleton leadership story, even though his expedition to Antarctica failed, he expressed excellent leadership through harsh circumstances. He already had a clear vision before starting his journey, that is conquering the harshest land, Antarctica. Then the purpose is to bring everybody home alive. After the tragedy struck, therefore, he was very brave and decisive whenever he was in survival situation. In those situations, he showed characteristic of a truly heroic leader. He not only eased his member fear of deadly circumstances, but also raised their bravery. An example is that he created sport and dancing time with all the members while they were stuck on the ice. And he was the first person dancing to entertain his men, and it was helpful to get people engaged and calm their fear. He also knew each other well and treated them fairly and equally. By understanding his members' strengths and weaknesses, he gave out a task for his men suitably. It not only solved the problems, but also got the task done incredibly great. So his, his leadership created trust and good cooperation from his people. What I learned from him is that leadership should include fairly and equally treat as well as concern and understanding people. In addition, a leader should be decisive and have endurable vision. he or she also should build a team that they can rely on when facing difficulties, like Shackleton in his story. Thank you.
Over the course of this project, I have learned many things about Shackleton's story and how he overcame the obstacles in front of him. For one, an important lesson that can be taken away from his leadership story is the art of being persistent and resilient. Shackleton never gave up on what he was doing, considering it took almost 5 months to get all of his men safe once he reached civilization, and he never wavered. In the business world, giving up shouldn't be an option, so staying true to what you want to accomplish, no matter the obstacles ahead, are vital for a team to succeed. Another lesson he demonstrated was learning from your mistakes. Over the course of his rescue mission, mistakes were made in rescue efforts which prolonged the situation. However, he didn't moan or groan over his mistakes, but instead, he changed his course quickly and focused his energies on the new path needed. This continual learning and adapting process kept Shackleton and his crew alive in one of the world's most hazardous environments. Moving on, our group has also learned some things from this assignment that are important in all types of teamwork in the real world. It is important to be flexible because at times it can be difficult coordinating with one another, so it's best to have a plan, and if things are not going according to the plan at hand, alter it until it meets everyone's needs. Another lesson from this assignment would be communication is one of the most important factors of group work. I feel like our group did a very well job with communication with one another, which helped us coordinate the different topics that each group member was going to take on and the process of putting it all together in the end. One more lesson that we learned from this assignment is that all members of the group must stay attentive. In our group, this was an important factor because we relied on each member completing their own sections, but also reviewing other sections from group members to make sure all of the information was written correctly and to see if anything needed to be added. Overall, this assignment proved to be challenging and has shown our group some important insight on how to work in a team setting.